Okay. All right. We'll see.
So we're streaming video now?
No, we have been
Okay.
streaming video. I don't know. I'm gonna wake up. Did you know I have to wake up this keyboard thing? It has to wake up and
What, you're also calculator?
yes. There we go. Now I can switch around. All right. Okay. Cross your fingers that this is gonna work. And we'll do a show. This is the Dan Benjamin Hour for Tuesday, March 17th, 2015. My understanding is that today is St. Patrick's Day, but I don't own any green. I don't own a single item of green clothing, Hattie. Hattie's wearing green.
I'm in a dark green.
You're sort of a dark green, like camo military-esque for
St. Patrick's
for
Day.
St. Patrick's Day. If you see Hattie looking up sometimes, that's because I have the screen so that she can see if she's on camera and not be yawning during the show.
Is there that much of a difference?
I don't know if they can see it. I can see it. I can see it here. Her eyes kind of flicking up. The word of the day today for Tuesday, March 17th is ombudsman. Hattie, would you like to attempt to define the word before I get our first guest? Would you like to try and define the word ombudsman? Do not look it up. I see you looking it up.
No, I'm
How
not
would you
looking
like?
up.
Would you like to try to define? You can opt out.
Do you know what it means?
Yes, I do. I do know
Okay.
what it means.
It sounds ombudsman.
Ombudsman. Ombudsman. Ombudsman.
It sounds like someone that works outdoors, like picking berries or something.
Okay.
Maybe I'm thinking of woodsman.
Woodsman,
so-
huntsman.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I don't
We'll get to that, and we'll see if our guests know. I've got two guests coming on the show today. I think I'll do Tom first and Will second, because Will is more of a forgiving person, and Tom tends to be fairly aggressive. So well, he is. He's an artist. I mean, Will's an artist too in his own way. But we'll see if either of them can get. Anyway, Will's going to be here to talk about this the latest Chris Borland news. I know, Hattie, you've been following.
Definitely.
Along with all of my listeners who are very much into sports. But it's interesting. We'll talk about that. And then Tom Zahler, or Zahler as he's known, will be here to talk about the Joker. The Joker and Batgirl. Did we put that in the show notes? Do you know?
I'm looking at them right now.
See if you can. Yeah, there it is. Last item is there. So the show notes can be found in a couple of different places. I launched a new site just for this show. It is at danbenjamin.com. So you can go to danbenjamin.com/live and you can watch live. You can listen live if you don't want to watch live. And you know what we had? Who is this on Twitter complaining to me? He's taken what I would describe as an aggressive, threatening stance.
Okay.
And I want to respond to that.
Tell me about it.
Well, his name is Phil. How would you pronounce this? Mehew? Mayhew. Like Mayhew's Liquors? Did I ever tell you the Mayhew's Liquors story?
No.
Did I ever tell you that? All right. When I was a kid, I was probably maybe 7, 8 years old. I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 9. And we used to, my phone number in South Florida, my phone number was, I guess, 1 digit away from the Mayhew's Liquors. You ever been to a Mayhew's Liquor store?
Never.
Neither have I. And apparently there was a Mayhew's Liquors down in South Florida. And we would get these phone calls multiple times a day, every day. And I would say, hello, and is this Mayhew's? Or they would just start asking, oh, do you have the Jim Beam, any of the Jim Beam, whatever it was they were looking for. And so I didn't know what Mayhew's was because I was an eight-year-old kid. But eventually I figured out what Mayhew's was. Why was I answering the phone
That's a great
7-year-old?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, I answer the phone, and they'd say, is this Mayhew's or whatever? Well, I kind of, we didn't get a lot of phone calls. Like, we weren't, like we might get a couple calls a day. So I started to learn that, like, when it might be Mayhew's. So I started to answer the phone. I'd say, like, hello? And it was going to be Mayhew's call. So they say, is this Mayhew's? We're like, yep. And then, so they would ask me for different liquors and stuff like that. And I would tell them, yes, we had it. But I would quote them ridiculous prices. Oh, that's $55 for that. and they
At
were like,
7 years old?
yeah, they were like $55. And I would say, oh, you don't want that. You don't want that. It's terrible. You don't want to drink that stuff, or whatever. I had a lot of fun with it. So Phil Mayhew,
Uh-huh.
are you sure that's Mayhew? Anyway, he wants to know if I could release a lower quality version of the video podcast, because normally they come in. He says the last one was 655 megs in size. I don't think that's a lot. That's not a lot for a high quality video.
That's
best.
true. That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying?
We like to produce the best content.
Do you disagree? That's 720p. What does the P stand for in 720p, Hattie?
Oh, no. Pixels. No.
It has to do with scanning. Kind of
panorama.
Okay, pretty good. But no. You see, do you know what emo is today? Can you describe an emo person? What is an emo person?
Well, it's short for emotional, and you have black hair usually, and you paint your nails black, and you wear black, and you read a lot of poetry and listen to a lot of emo music, all about like being sad, and yeah, that's how I describe emo.
And these are the kind of people who perhaps would they might I don't know, they might do things to themselves, like hurting themselves.
Sometimes that was also very, yes.
Something like that. Are these emo images that I'm displaying right now?
There, yes.
Well, so for those who can't see, I'm just showing pictures
of emo kids.
Of emo kids. Well, back in my day, we didn't have emo. We had something that was called alternative.
Uh-huh.
Have you heard that term, alternative?
I have, yes.
And before alternative, we used the term progressive. Have you ever heard the term progressive?
Yes, I have.
Progressive
music.
I'm going to ask Stacy out. She's progressive. And like that was the thing. And actually I did. But
because
that's not the point.
Progressive.
That's not the point. Yeah, but I mean that was part of it. She reminded me of Molly Ringwald.
There you go.
And I would put her in the progressive as far as the outfit that she wore in the Breakfast Club. So anyway, Phil Mayhew wants a 720p. He does not want a 720p progressive. He wants something even less than that. And I asked him if I could give him the Ogg Vorbis, which usually is half as much. And he said no. He wants something that's 150 megs in size. So I'm curious. Something I'm curious about is, since we're new to the whole video game, you get that, Daddy? Did you get that?
Yes.
I didn't even intend
I know.
Nintendo to do that.
Oh man.
I know it's bad today because I've got that Pixels movie on my mind.
I'm excited to see that trailer.
We just went to the trailer. It's not out yet. I haven't seen it yet. So if you're in the chat room and you can tell us about the trailer, if you know of a place to find it, we'll talk about that more later. Anyway, here's the point. If you want a lower quality video, let me know on Twitter at Dan Benjamin. Just say, yes, I would like a lower quality one because it's a lot of extra work. We've got to do an extra export, extra upload. I mean, handbrake the thing twice, upload it to two different things. And I want to make sure, if we're going to do it, it's fine. I'll do it. If that's what you guys want, I'm happy to do it. I want to make sure that more than just Phil Mayhew's Lakers wants it. So anyway, there you go. We had good barbecue lunch today. People don't care about that, but I want to talk about it.
It was so good.
So we went to, what was the name of it? Friedman's.
Friedman's.
So we've been to La Barbecue, Mickle Waits, Franklin's, Mueller's, Friedman's.
Style Switch.
I mean, we'll throw Rudy's in. We've been to Salt Lick. We've been to Rudy's. And that's it.
I'm trying to think if there are any more.
Oh, what's the other one that's on the hill?
Mueller's.
No, that we said that Caitlin used to like.
Oh, County Line.
They went all gluten and everything.
They chose to put gluten.
They did that on purpose. So they're out now. Anyway, I thought today's Friedman's was really good. Brisket kind of blew us away. And we've decided to start doing something. So if you're here in Austin, we're going to do a weekly thing where we go out and get barbecue. And if you're a listener, you can, even if you're not a listener, how would you hear about it? I don't know, but you can join us. And we'll be going to get barbecue, and you can join us. You can hang out with us, and we'll do something fun. You were hiding that yawn.
Mm-hmm.
I swear I'm gonna get you, and when I get you, That's going to become an animated GIF or GIF, as you say.
GIF, right.
It'll be on YouTube. It'll be downloadable. It'll be a home screen. It'll be the 404 page on the website.
No. That actually would be a good 404
I'm going to get
page.
You. All right. Anyway, we've got a bunch of news, about a bunch of things to cover. And see, now Phil's popped up. He's popped up. And he's comparing the download sizes to his other favorite podcast, Twit, This Week in Tech by Leo Laporte, and saying, look at their file size. Your file size was 665. Theirs is 234. All right, I get the message, Phil Mayhew's Lakers. But I don't know what to jump into first here, because there's a whole bunch of things that I want to cover today.
I know you have a lot of links.
There are more links than usual in there, and I suppose I could just dive right in. But so this barbecue thing, you were saying you think it should be. How do you think it should be, a Thursday or a Friday? I feel like it should be a Friday, and I want to throw out again this idea that I have. There are some people who have said that they're not sure about listening to the show 5 hours a week. That this winds up being 5 hours a week, this show that we do here.
That's a commitment.
I don't think it's a commitment. I can see which camp you're in. But I don't think it's a commitment. I think it's a gift. I think it's a great way to spend your time. It would be to join us for 5 hours a week. I think everybody's got more than 5 hours a week of commuting or walking the dog or grocery shopping or whatever. And I think that this show should probably take precedent as being one of the best shows on the internet, if not the best show.
I agree.
Well, a minute ago you said it was too much of a commitment.
No,
so
I
just want to, it's okay if you don't like the show. You don't have to be on the show if you don't want to be on the show. I can mute your mic, or you could go, hair shopping or whatever you do.
Hair shopping.
Whatever you do. I don't know your life. But but I understand that for some people, unlike Hattie, who aren't paid to be here to be part of this, that they might want to hear like an abridged version. So what if we took like the best of and made that into the thing? We did that on Friday, and so we did a live show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then on Friday we did a best of. We released a best of the whole week, and then on Friday we record something different. Like I could do a grid or something else like that on Friday. So, or the other idea is do Monday through Friday anyway, and then come out with a best of on Saturday. And people can listen to that over the weekend or Monday, and that way they only are committing to about an hour a week instead of 5 hours, which clearly for Hattie is too much time.
That's not too much time.
Well, you said it was a commitment, and
I said it was a commitment.
I mean,
but
I'm working really hard on making a good show. I'm doing the best I can to make a good show.
I'm saying you better commit.
Even my own, number one employee can't find the time to be a part of the show.
I'm right here. I'm here, and I love being on the show. And I'm just saying that I think.
Well, it's a lot. It's a time. I get it. It's a time commitment. It's a lot for you. And if you don't, you can't commit the time, that's okay.
I'm right here, and I'm committing the time, and I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Right. Well, I mean, whatever. I understand it's a commitment for you. So the first topic that I wanted to cover today. See, now I'm not sure about going, because if I'm gonna, I guess I can still switch. This is inside baseball stuff, but I have to remember these key commands. There. No. What? See? Oh. You see what happens?
What is that little thing that pops up?
That little thing. Well, it's not that little. It's just a cursor. But I need to be on that screen because otherwise it switches the. See what I'm saying?
Oh.
See that? You see that?
Oh. I understand.
Okay, so this is so cool. A dude named Randall S. Olson wrote a really cool article. It is called "Here's Waldo, Computing the Optimal Search Strategy for Finding Waldo." He published this back in the beginning of February. And here's the story. He got snowed in. Not Snowden.
I was going to say.
No. And he said for fun he was going to do it this weekend project. And he found an old Slate article that claimed that they found a foolproof strategy for finding Waldo in those classic Where's Waldo books. I know you know those.
I love those.
Well, he read it and he said, you know what, the strategy is not perfect. It's not based on a mathematical proof. So he said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use machine learning and everything I know about machine learning to come up with a true optimal search strategy for finding Waldo. He says, I will crush Slate's supposed foolproof strategy and carve a trail of defeated Waldo searchers in my wake. So he did that. And if you're following along watching the video version of this, you can see that he has a Where's Waldo illustration, which is a beautiful 2-page layout, and you have to find Waldo. And so he used some of the Slate's info, like they had a chart that made it easy for him to get all 68 of Waldo's coordinates in the primary 7 editions of the Where's Waldo books. Hattie, could you please add Where's Waldo books to the show notes?
Amazon
link. And he reproduced those coordinates. He started with the coordinates, and he came up with a few things using what's called a kernel density estimation. And so here are the trends. For example, here's some 3 trends that he found. Waldo almost never appears in the top left corner. That's because they put a postcard of Waldo up there. Waldo is rarely located on the edges, which the theory is that was on purpose because, the edges are too obvious. And then he's never at the bottom right. And the reason that they think he's never at the bottom right is because a lot of people, that's the first thing you look at. So then they make this kernel density estimate. And he does a whole bunch of things. Anyway, he finally comes up with the most optimized search path. And he shows like how you can start, where you can scan on the pages. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but he comes up with it, and it winds up being very, very good, very fast. In fact, he says, as others have reported, the strategy works very well for most of the illustrations. I zoomed through most every illustration in the book in less than 10 seconds on each illustration. So, big time stuff. I mean, this is news. But it's interesting because these are the kinds of problems that if you take a computer and you try and teach a computer how to, understand and conceptualize a 3-dimensional object and how to like interact with that using a robot arm and pick it up, that's incredibly difficult. That's an incredibly basic thing for a human, but for a computer and for artificial intelligence is an incredibly difficult thing. How do I move this arm and pick up this egg on the table, or this ball that could roll away if I touch it wrong, or something that you'd want to not crush like an egg? All of this kind of stuff that to a very, very, very young human being, or a very young animal for that matter.
Right.
These are incredibly easy things to do. Stand up, walk over to the other side of the room. Pick up a pencil. You understand just by looking at the pencil where it begins and ends, how to pick the thing up, what kind of weight it probably is going to have just by glancing at it. Even a very, very, very small child can do these very basic things. But finding Waldo on a page can take us forever. And I love this because this is kind of the fusion of, not necessarily computers, but of mathematics in a way, of computers, mathematics, science, logic, and coming up with something that, even if you read all the Where's Waldo books and they came out with a new one, you're not going to be any better at finding Waldo necessarily than you were the first time you read the first book.
Right.
You're just not going to be.
It's just fun
because
to
you
try
haven't
and find it.
Yeah, it's fun, right? Does this take all the fun out of it for you? How do you care to comment?
A little bit. You want to fall for all of those little tricks in the Waldo books too. Where they have like the woman in stripes, and you immediately go to the red and white striped woman in the dress, and you realize you're like, it's not him. Like, it's those little things where you're like, I'm about to lose my mind. I have to find him. That makes it fun. I like it. I love those kind of search puzzles like that.
I'm going to need to get an extra keyboard in here.
A third?
I'm going to have to get a third keyboard, I think. Because switching back like this and that's
That's too much.
It's too much. Even if I just had a trackpad.
We have a trackpad.
Yeah, I don't have it, though. You have it.
No, it's in there.
Twitter only gave Meerkat 2 hours notice before cutting access to their social graph. Ben Rubin, who was here at South by Southwest and was supposed to come out, couldn't come out or changed his mind. I guess we're not, I feel like people are either, they either are afraid to come on the show, like Tom Zahler or Will Carroll, and they have to overcome their fear, or they don't care about the show. And I think Ben Rubin, maybe he just got too busy, or maybe he's scared. I'm going to think he's scared. But here's what he says. He says, we're not naive. We knew it was coming, he told Fast Company. He had time to talk to Fast Company. What a surprise. Thanks, Ben. We thought that we would give at least a week notice. A fair game. That's what he thought. He thought that they were going to get at least a week's notice from Twitter before Twitter cut off their social graph, but not the case. I'm just following up on the Meerkat story. And here's what he said he apparently had plenty of time for Fast Company. He says, want to see something funny? He said he turned on his phone and showed him a tweet from October introducing Fabric, a mobile development platform that Twitter launched to encourage more apps on its platform. Jeff Siebert, director of product for Fabric, described it as a modular mobile platform that makes it easy for developers to build great apps. And Rubin then said, until they build a really great app, and then they shut it down. I mean, I honestly, the question that I was going to ask him, Hattie, was why, obviously he thought this was going to happen to him, but why would anybody in their right mind build any application on Twitter? I just want to talk to you, all of you developers out there. Developers, hear me. Don't build an application that requires Twitter to be great. You can, do stuff with Twitter, integrate Twitter, but Twitter is just, the minute that you get successful, if you're in a space that's anything like what Twitter may want to do eventually, which is everything, you could get cut off. You get cut off instantly. I've heard this story over and over and over and over again. Twitter people, don't do it. Don't do it. Because the minute that you get popular, the minute you get successful, you're going to be shut down.
And then they'll make something better than what you just did.
Yeah, they'll and the thing
and
is,
then take the credit.
Yeah, if you think that you're going to get acquired by Twitter, you're not going to get acquired by Twitter. You're just not going to. That's rare. And I never heard of Periscope. You ever hear of Periscope before this,
no,
Meerkat?
Not
I've only heard
recently.
of Periscope because of Meerkat.
Right.
I'm telling you, if Facebook is going to have to jump in and get this because they can look like heroes. Malik has an article up where he just got around. Apparently, he just got around to watching the Apple keynote. And he's been busy. But he wrote a really great piece, which we're not going to go into much detail here, but it's great. It just shows how important China is to Apple and Apple's future and Apple's products. Super, super, super important. China's annual consumption of gold for jewelry, for example, they are into gold. So if you're wondering why we have a gold iPhone, if you're wondering why we have a gold iPhone, a gold computer, a gold watch,
well, I have a gold phone.
The reason is it's not for girls. It's not to look cool. It's for China. China. That's why. Okay, and here's the thing that I was telling you about at lunch while we were eating barbecue.
Oh yeah.
Apparently GE came to South by Southwest and used big data, although my friend says this is not really big data, but they used big data to create scientifically perfect barbecue. They did this 12-foot tall smoker. They call it the super smoker. And the super smoker makes apparently perfect barbecue, 300 gallons of smoke, 3 days of barbecue. And it uses all these sensors to record humidity, smoke velocity, meat temperature, and all this other stuff to make perfect.
What kind of meats are they smoking?
We don't have any information about it, and I don't know anyone that's tried to eat it.
We should eat it.
But they had they were monitoring tasters' reactions to a sample plate, so they would give them savory, tart, and sweet meat to try. We did not get to try that. It's fine. I don't know if I would eat that anyway. All right, who am I getting on here first, Hattie?
Who would you prefer? You want to try the angry?
They're both pretty angry. Let me tell you, before I do that, let me tell you about Audible. I loved being able to draw markers again. Audible is the internet's leading provider of spoken word entertainment, information, and educational programming. Content from Audible is downloaded and played back on your smartphone, portable device, or computer. They're the best solution for digital audiobooks. Not only do they have more than 150,000 titles to choose from, which even by my book is a lot, they have tons of exclusive content you can't get anywhere else. And here's how it works. You get their free app, iPhone, iPad, Android. You download the free app, Kindle Fire, Windows Phone, and over 500 MP3 players. I mean, that's a lot. And you download that and you start going. And it's not like a streaming service. It's not like a rental service. The stuff is yours. You buy the books, you keep the books. You don't have to maintain that subscription or anything like that. They are your books. You own the books with Audible. And you get to listen to these things as much as you want. And they're great. A lot of us, some of us, like Hattie, for example, it's a big commitment to dedicate something like 5 hours a week to listening to a podcast.
It's really not.
But if you're not Hattie and you have time to listen on your commute, you have time to listen at home in the evening, on a walk. I feel like the biggest threat to podcasts are audiobooks, because the audiobooks are really great. And they have this really cool thing called Whisper Sync. It lets you switch back and forth between reading the book on your Kindle or Kindle app and listening to the audiobook. So if you're reading the book and then you want to get in the car, you want to see what happens in the next chapter, you play it, and wherever you stop, your Kindles will catch up to that.
I love
and
that.
vice versa. It's such a genius thing. I wonder if they can hear those sirens.
I don't know. I don't think they can. I haven't heard them in the other ones.
We need a window cam. I want to get one of those web cameras. I want to tape it to the back of that chair.
Oh, that would be great.
And then just show a shot toward downtown at the window like that.
I wish we need to prune that tree a little bit.
Can we prune trees here? Is that in our lease?
I think we can do that.
They are offering our listeners a free audiobook of their choice. Free 30-day trial as well. And you can choose from over 150,000 titles, download a title free, and start listening. And that book is yours to keep forever, even if you make the unfortunate and wrong decision to not sign up to Audible. audiblepodcast.com/Dan sent me. Thank you for the good URL. They all need to do the good URLs. Who is not doing it? There's still someone in here that's not doing it.
It's just, I think it's just 5-4.
audiblepodcast.com/Dan sent me. You get a free book. You get a 30-day trial. You support the show. Thank you very much for doing that. Thank you to Audible for sponsoring. I feel like I want to get, Tom, I'm sick and tired of Tom's threats. I'm sick and tired of it, and I'm not going to be intimidated by him. Let's get Will on the line first. You know that?
Yep.
I'm tired of being pushed around by people like Tom. You need a Will on that. He can wait. See if this works. That already sounds too loud to me. Does that sound too loud?
A little bit, but...
And bring his volume down in our headphones. I told him we were going to be live, but we're an hour late because someone locked herself out.
I didn't.
You didn't lock yourself out?
No.
Really?
I left the door unlocked for myself, and you locked it.
I guess I'm going to have to talk to Tom. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Will's not answering the phone. What can I do about that? If he doesn't answer, he doesn't answer, I'm going to make Tom wait a little longer because he's just, you know what? I'm not going to be pushed around anymore.
I just got an email from Will. He said he has a gig.
That hurts.
It hurts.
You know what? Maybe I got to get Tom on here after this story. Did you hear about this? The United flight?
The
United flight to turn back after an unruly passenger yelled, "Jihad." Jihad. So he stood up. He ran toward the cockpit screaming, "Jihad, jihad." And they said he does not seem to have any connections to terrorists. His mental state is unknown. No weapons were found after he was subdued. And this comes at an alarming time because here in the United States and the allies of the United States have been targeted by Islamist extremist groups like ISIS. And, of course, we all remember September 11. But it started shortly after United Flight 1074 took off around 10:15 on Monday from Dulles. You ever flown through Dulles?
No.
Through Dulles. It was a 737, a Boeing. It was supposed to take its 33 passengers and 6 crew members to Denver, but they had to turn back because the passenger failed to comply with crew instructions. You know what? Why don't you have Will reply to Will and have him call in on Skype from his phone? Get him while he's driving. Anyway, he ran forward toward the cockpit and he's being restrained by passengers. One of the pilots said the cockpit is secure and we would just like to return to the airport and have the authorities meet him. And there's a cell phone video of it. And he's being held down by the passengers and he's saying, please stop, please stop. I'm so sorry, he says.
Do you think it's one of those things where he just wanted to see what would happen?
I don't know. I think it's pretty dumb. None of the passengers were injured, fortunately. That's a good thing. But all right, fine. If we can't get, see if he's around.
Okay.
See if he's around. See if he can do it. And now we can get Tom on. I'm serious though. Like I just don't want to be pushed around by him. And he seems such a nice guy. And then you meet him and instantly he's like on fire. Tom.
I am full of hate, Dan.
That's what I'm saying. Look at his picture. Look at him.
The hate in his eyes.
That's evil.
Yep.
Evil. How are you, Tom? Welcome to the show.
I am well, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm fine now. I'm a little worried what's going to happen with you on the show. You're lucky that I was going to make you wait because of the threats and everything else coming. I was going to bring you on second, but here you are.
Yeah, I think reach out and punch someone. That's a good tagline for my studio. So.
Well, other than just the fact that I admire you and I admire your work, I wanted to have you come on because of this Batman and Batgirl rather and Joker situation that's going on. And so for people who haven't been following comics very much, Raphael Albuquerque is a fantastic artist. He came out with a Batgirl variant cover. For some reason, they're doing a whole bunch of variant covers for Batgirl number 41. I guess they do variant covers anyway, but this particular one was special because there are a bunch of artists that did it, and his cover was highly criticized, and he wrote a letter to DC or asked DC if they could please not use this cover, not publish the image at all, not do this cover at all. And the image, for those who are not watching at home, depicts Joker standing kind of behind Batgirl with his arm around her shoulder, dangling a gun downwards in front of her, and he has painted with his finger what looks like in blood the Joker smiley face on Batgirl, who is very much alive and looks very frightened and disturbed, and she's got a tear in her eye. Hattie, would you agree with that?
It's a creepy image, and you can't see his
creepy.
Eyes either.
Right,
They're
his
all
eyes
blacked
are in
out
shadow. And Tom, I know that you are a big fan of comics of all kinds, yourself being an artist and writer. And you probably remember A Killing Joke, which is the story of the Joker. And small spoiler alert here, he encounters Batgirl in her off-duty type situation. And can we say what this is? Is this a big spoiler? Does everyone not know what happens in The Killing Joke, Tom?
Well, it's like a 20-year-old book. I think you're fairly safe.
The Joker shoots Batgirl and paralyzes her, I think, from the waist down, leading to her becoming the Oracle. Later on, she comes back when the reboot of the New 52. She comes back, and she's been miraculously healed, and it's later revealed how that happened. But I guess there was an implication of rape in that story as well by the Joker, or the henchman. But so this picture, especially when you contrast this with the current Batgirl, which is this very kind of upbeat, friendly, sort of happy Batgirl,
Mm-hmm.
to see this title, this cover here, I think it was jarring for a lot of people. Have I summarized this well?
Yeah.
Barbara
Yeah,
Gordon,
I think so.
Oracle, Batgirl.
Yeah, the rape aspect is kind of subjective. It's if you just there's certainly implication of it. It's never stated that it happens in Killing Joke. And I think that's part of why the cover is so disturbing, because the Batgirl on the cover is clearly not in any way empowered. She's not fighting the Joker. She's not standing off against it. She is, again, at a place where the Joker is completely in control.
Right, and very different from the kind of the Batgirl that we know now. The quote on here from Raphael: "My intention was never to hurt or upset anyone through my art." He's the this is in a statement. "For that reason, I've recommended to DC that the variant be pulled, and it was released on Friday at 25 themed variant covers." And he says that the variant took inspiration from Alan Moore and Brian Boland's famous 1988 story, The Killing Joke. But he says, then DC comes out and says, DC's official statement, it's indicated that threats of violence and harassment were made following the release of the image. But he says that he didn't receive any threats and violence, but that apparently it was the people who were upset about, I guess they were the ones that were calling to have it removed were getting threatened. Well, what's the story on this? It seems strange to me. Who is being threatened?
Yeah, as I understand it, the people who responded and said that they wanted that cover either not printed or objected to it, those were the people who got the threats against them.
Yeah. I mean, that's weird. I don't know why people have to do that kind of thing. Anyway, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, to be clear, your comics, you generally don't go into the darker the darker space when you're doing.
No, mine are kind of light and frothy.
They're
but
fun.
I think that's like you said about the way the Batgirl comic is now. The Batgirl comic now is light and upbeat, and I mean, it almost feels like a reboot with a younger Batgirl. It technically isn't, but that's the vibe you get off of it. And this cover, at the very least, is tone deaf. DC makes enough mistakes with their PR and the things they decide to do. They almost need someone in staff to look at these kind of the covers and the things they decide to do and say, is there any way this could be taken wrong? Because we're probably going to be, we're going to present it badly.
Yeah.
And that's what I think happened with this. It's a phenomenally well drawn, and it's a creepy cover, and it gets creepy across. It's hard to do real terror with the Joker these days because he kills so many people that it loses its effect.
Right.
And this is a cover that executes, very much the scary, creepy Joker, but it's not appropriate for this run of Batgirl.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I was thinking, and it was kind of surprising because I love American Vampire, and I think his work is just great, and it's kind of a shame. It's just kind of a shame. What's your Twitter handle? The chat room said yours. I put the wrong one in for you.
Love and Tom Zahler now. I changed it at the beginning of the year.
I didn't know that.
It's all right. I think the Love and Cape still works, but yeah, because I've got a new project coming out this year, I didn't want to be tied to just the one thing that I was known for.
Can you share it with me?
Yeah, it's Tom Zahler, THOMZAHLER.
Oh, no, I meant
the project.
The project. I just updated your.
I can. The project was just announced about a week ago. It's called Long Distance. It's a romantic comedy about a couple in a long distance relationship. So the title is really bang on.
Yeah.
And that'll be coming out from IDW in June.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So it's another romantic comedy, but with much less superheroes.
So are they still going to be superheroes or
no?
In it? None at all?
No superhero aspect. It's regular people having a relationship.
Well, I mean, I guess I'm all right with that. It's a little more, realistic. Gritty. Is it gritty? Is like a crime thing? Like they have a relationship, but they're each is secretly a serial killer or something like that?
No,
I mean, I'm just an idea guy. You're going to have to run with it. Not high concept like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing that Hattie and I have been looking at here today, I don't know if you're following this because I know you're not. You're I don't know how much into games you are, but I know you're into entertainment and geek entertainment. What have you heard about this new Pixels movie and trailer that's coming out? That's supposed to be coming out.
Oh, I haven't heard anything about that.
You don't know about this?
No. Tell me about it.
Okay, well, there is a new Sony picture that's coming out, and it's called Pixels, and it says the game is not over. It's coming in the summer, so not that long from now. And they've been releasing these little teaser trailers and these little pictures, and they haven't really explained very much about it or what it is. But today, at some point, they're going to be releasing the full trailer. But all we really know from up till this point, if you look at these trailers, it doesn't make much sense. But it's clear that there's some kind of spaceship, and then you get an image of Pac-Man, what looks like Pac-Man, a very pixelated.
Looks like he's eating the city.
Yeah, and then you also get what looks to me like Donkey Kong's feet jumping.
Uh-huh.
Well, from what I've read about this, from what I've been able to read about this, there's somebody taking a picture of Q*bert, and here's my understanding of this, is that the premise of the movie is alien beings somehow saw, what was it we were reading, Hattie? They somehow saw that we had, they saw our video games and interpreted them
as a declaration of war.
A declaration of war, perhaps Space Invaders or something. A declaration of war against them and us, from us, and used those images to launch their attack on Earth. So it sounds pretty cool. But that's it. We're supposed to see the big trailer. I'm surprised you don't know about this thing.
Yeah, I gotta say, I stay away from video games for the most part because that's how I hit my deadlines.
Oh.
I've got an obsessive personality, and I know what stuff to stay away from.
Yeah.
But I looked it up on the computer as you were talking, and it does look pretty cool.
It's got
a vibe to me like it's going to be a video game version of Roger Rabbit.
Oh,
Characters that you never thought would share the same screen. Like Pac-Man is what, Bally, and Donkey Kong is Nintendo.
Right.
I don't even remember who Q*bert was.
Right,
I mean, aside from Joe Q*bert, whose school I went to, but the video game Q*bert. That I think it'd be cool to see these characters, together again. And I certainly like the '80s retro feel to it.
Oh yeah. Well, let me ask you this: since Hattie, it looks like we're not going to get.
Well, yeah. Let me double check and see if I've heard from him since.
Will.
I have not.
So I can talk to you about it. Because I know this is right up your alley too. Chris Borland is going to be retiring due to concerns about head trauma. I know you're a big San Francisco 49ers fan, so you'll right away know. Chris Borland is the linebacker, one of the big linebackers, number 50, and he's young to be retiring, and he's great. He's a great player in the NFL. But here's his quote. I believe he's 29 years old. He says, I just honestly want to do what's best for my health. He said, from what I've researched and what I've experienced, I don't think it's worth the risk. Of course, he's talking about concern about head trauma, head injury. He says, I feel largely the same, as sharp as I've ever been. For me, it's wanting to be proactive. I'm concerned that if you wait till you have symptoms, it's too late. There are a lot of unknowns. I can't claim that X will happen. I just want to live a long, healthy life, and I don't want to have any neurological diseases or die younger than I would otherwise. And he said he began to have misgivings during training camp. He said he sustained what he believed to be a concussion, a stuffing a running play, but had thought in part it was because he was trying to make the team. I just thought to myself, what am I doing? Is this how I'm going to live my adult life, banging my head, especially with what I've learned now about the dangers? And we've been hearing a lot about head trauma in football, and we've seen some people who have had shorter careers because of that. But this is just a huge thing to have somebody who's at the top of their game, and by any definition still very young, not only just in a football career but just in a career period, to walk away from the game. What do you think about that?
I don't know a ton about football because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, and we don't have a professional team anymore.
Not anymore.
No. I I would think that it would have to be hard going to events where you see older players who have been through the system and how knocked around they are.
Yeah.
That would be the benchmark that I would use. If I
Mhm.
saw a bunch of other linebackers who were all doing perfectly fine, I
Yeah.
would say that the hype might be built up. But I hear all my stuff is anecdotal because I obviously didn't play football.
Right.
But it seems like there are a bunch of problems going around, and I always like that. There's a theory that says that the protection is too good for the players.
Mm.
It causes them to take more and more risks.
More risks,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
That rugby players play with no padding whatsoever and have less injuries.
Right, they have less injuries. They don't have the kind of head trauma for sure. They don't tear their ACLs every week.
Yeah.
It's
Right, because they don't have their head encased in armor and decide that they
right.
can use it like a battering ram.
Have you ever tried on football padding of any kind? Like I'm not saying necessarily just NFL stuff, but even like college stuff. You ever put on a helmet or padding or anything like that?
I think I've put on a helmet before. I haven't put on any padding.
The first thing you're inclined to do when you put on the helmet is to Hattie, is to test out like
bang it
I
right
want to go
against
run.
the wall.
I'm gonna go run into a wall and see if this hurts or not, or I'm gonna bang it against the other guy.
All right.
And it doesn't hurt your head, but it does hurt your neck. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and then if you collide hard enough, it does hurt your head still. And all of this padding and stuff, it does make you feel kind of like you're in armor, right? Like you're like a knight in armor and you're invincible and you can go and kill
Yeah.
somebody or and not be killed. And
That false sense of security.
right.
and everybody's wearing the same armor, so
right.
to do damage, you have to do damage to yourself almost.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know. This is what I was going to talk to Will about. Will's Twitter handle is injury expert. But now you're going to be the injury expert. You're my resident sports guru now.
Well, I have been banged up. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's really interesting that this is what's going on. That this is the news, and I mean, obviously, it's a serious thing. And you always hear them talking about, oh, we want to make football safer. We want to make it safer for the players. We want to make it better for the players. We want to make sure that they're safer. And I think every single person who watches or plays football wants that. Every single person. There's a lot of people, I think, in this audience who don't care about football at all, even though it's the biggest sport in the United States of America. Way bigger than baseball, way bigger than soccer or football, as they say everywhere else. But the reality of it is it does matter, and we do want it to be safer, but there's so much about the game that it's a physical game, If they told you that drawing and illustrating comics, you could potentially have neurological damage from it, you'd probably really consider that, wouldn't you? You'd probably say, maybe I shouldn't draw comics anymore.
There are some who say that you have to have neurological damage to get into comics. So.
What's that like? I mean, finish the question, but then I've got another question I want to ask you about that if you can talk about it. But I mean, would you walk away right now you're 29? Wouldn't you walk away from comics?
Perpetually.
Yeah. If somebody said that, like, there's a decent chance you're going to get neurological damage from doing this thing that you have been doing and loving to do and has made you your career and you're very good at, would you walk away from it?
With football, I might play 1 or 2 more years, and I would truncate my season. I don't feel like there's enough evidence to make it conclusive, but there's enough to be worried about.
Right.
In a couple of years, I think playing football will be like smoking, where if you get cancer from smoking, I think we've given you every warning we can.
Right.
Short of shrink wrapping it in that Microsoft EULA type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of becomes the same thing with football, where it's your choice. If this is what you want to do, if this is what you're good at, if you're doing the math and deciding that this is the decision that you're making,
yeah,
I don't have any problems with you doing it. But I just want you to be aware of what you're getting into before you decide to make that commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's probably endemic with football players too, athletes in general, that they are physical specimens to the degree that they think it's not going to happen to them because they've always been physically better than everybody else that they know.
Oh, yeah. That's an interesting point to make. And that is, if somebody's playing in the NFL, they are truly, when it comes to their game, they're the best of the best. They are some of the best human beings at doing those things. Just to make it into the NFL at all, they've probably been playing football since they were little kids. They played in high school, they played in college, and they were the best of their college, which means they were good enough to go and play at a professional level. And, I mean, I thought your analogy to smoking is really interesting, because it's like we just don't have the kind of medical studies and research of people in the NFL over this long term. And the way that they play the game today is not the way that they played it 15, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, the rules are essentially the same, but
the equipment
has changed. The level of athleticism has changed. For the most part. If you compare,
just the weight of the players has changed.
Yeah, for sure. If you compare the stance of a lineman from 15 years ago to the stance today, it's a completely different stance. And the stance today is to push and maybe do some damage getting across that line. It's a very different situation than it was 15, 20 years ago when I was a kid growing up watching football. It was still violent back then. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's always been violent.
Well, and I feel like the players are also trying to live up to this kind of celebrity life too.
How so?
You're not just, I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but in the past, I don't think that football players were as big of celebrities as they are now.
Yeah, I think that's true. Especially, I mean, it has been that way for a while, but when I was a kid, you basically had like a standout quarterback who was going to be a celebrity, right. But now
it's like every player, they're in E! Magazine and stuff like that, or E! Online and stuff like that. It's they're also living up to that too. So I feel like they feel even more invincible because they feel so special and above others sometimes. I'm sure there are many players that don't feel that way, but in a way and looping this all the way back around, sometimes they might even feel like superheroes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, I mean, you're right though. That's very true. I'd be curious to see what a lineman's salary was back in the 70s or 80s compared to today, adjusted for inflation. That would be really interesting.
I was listening to the radio today, and Brian Brennan from the Cleveland Browns was on, and he works at I think he works at KeyBank. But the idea that a football player would have a second career and need to have one, the money that's involved with football players now, it inoculates them from so many other responsibilities. Right. Where in the 70s and 80s, these guys had to think about what they would do after football and not live off what they did in football.
No, you're right. Very true. Well, listen, let me talk to you a little bit more about comics.
Okay.
Something that's not as scary. So you're sitting there. Well, I got to do a spot. Then I'll ask you this question, because this is a big question for you. This is going to change your mind maybe about what you're doing for a living. Harrys.com. Do you shave, Tom, or do you have a beard? Because in this picture I found of you on the internet, you're fresh, clean-shaven face.
I do not have a beard. I have to reflect my heat vision off part of my ship to shave.
See, that's a wonderful. Let's do that after this. Mm-hmm. Well, after this, we'll talk about Hulk versus Superman and how Superman shaves. Most of us, though, are stuck shaving the traditional way with a razor and a blade. We don't have heat vision. But you know what? We often ask, like, why does this razor I'm using really, is it so terrible? And when did shaving get so expensive? Have you ever priced blades recently and not just chucked one in the cart, but actually priced them? It's crazy. Harrys.com, they got fed up with that. And they said, you know what? We can get a superior shave. We can do it for less money. And we can do that by cutting out the middleman and making a wonderful razor that's a joy to use and that does a great job. And they have a really great starter kit. It's $15. It includes a razor, 3 blades, and either the shave cream or the gel. I like the cream. Merlin likes the gel. And you can get $5 off your purchase by listening to this show and using the code Dan Sent Me. It's Harrys.com, Harrys, Harrys.com. Code is Dan Sent Me. That'll get you $5 off. It'll make that starter kit $10. And they went to Germany and they found a factory making these incredibly sharp, amazing blades for nearly a century, and they bought the factory. And now the blades are ours, a discounted price. You're going to save like 50%, I think, of what you'd save, of what you'd normally spend if you were buying those crazy grocery store blades. So, Harrys.com, go check them out. Thanks very much to them for supporting the show. So Superman shaves. For those who didn't catch this reference that Tom was talking about, Superman, you ask, how does Superman shave, right? Because like his beard would be a super beard.
A super beard.
So Hattie, how do you think? I mean, he kind of said it, but I don't know if you kind of. How would you shave if you were
He'd
Superman?
have to use his own powers to do it,
His own powers, right.
or powers of people from his planet.
From Krypton?
Yes. Maybe they've invented something. Not sure, but.
Could you take a razor blade from Krypton and bring it to Earth and shave with that?
Like a regular man?
Or is
definitely.
Or because here's the thing I was never sure about with the whole Kryptonian thing. Is Krypton like on Krypton, Kryptonians are just like people. They're just walking around doing their thing. But when they get under the yellow sun, they get superpowers. But if they go back to Krypton or they get away from the yellow sun, Superman still seems to have his powers. When he's been in outer space, he's been in other places away from the yellow sun, he still has his powers. He still has superpowers. Does it wear off? Does he need to recharge by a yellow sun? Does he have to fly back?
It depends who's writing him.
Really?
But yes, he does have to recharge under a yellow sun. The gravity is actually the thing that would take away most of his powers quicker. That Krypton has much heavier gravity than Earth. That's the biggest source of his strength and his invulnerability. So when you get on a planet that equalizes that, you wouldn't be able to lift things because it would be, much, much heavier than you were used to as Superman. The vision powers and the super senses, those things should probably stick around a little bit longer until he runs out of whatever charge he has. Because he obviously can store solar energy like a battery. He doesn't lose his powers at night.
So if you were to take him out of there and take him to a place, put him in the dark in space somewhere, eventually he'd run out of powers. So he would die out there, essentially. Because eventually as his power went away, whatever he was able to store, as that went away, he would actually depower, and then he'd be stuck in the vacuum of space. He'd die.
Yeah, and the current version of Superman actually needs to breathe, so he can hold his breath an incredibly long time. But he's still limited by that too.
Okay, so I've read different takes on this. Who would win in a fight, Superman or the Incredible Hulk? Now I have an answer that I'm going to go with that I've read. I've read about this. So I have an answer prepared.
I have one too.
Okay, how do you go first?
I'm going to say Superman.
Why would Superman?
Because, see, Tom almost fell out of his chair.
Yeah, I know.
Based on, I think you and I have a similar answer.
Okay.
For similar reasons.
Okay.
The Hulk has to get angry.
He does.
Superman just naturally has all of his powers.
What happened? Okay, serious question for you, Hattie. Little trivia question. What happens when the Hulk gets angry?
He gets stronger and stronger, and he turns into the Hulk. Bruce Banner.
Okay, so you have Bruce Banner, and Bruce Banner gets angry,
a mild-mannered
turns into the Hulk.
Scientist.
But let's just, for the sake of argument, we're not talking about Bruce Banner. We're talking about the Hulk.
If you just started the bell,
let's say,
and it's Hulk and Superman.
Let's say that he's already entry-level Hulk. He's stubbed his toe,
pretty angry,
and he's the Hulk. So he's already he's in Hulk form. Let's say that.
Okay.
Now who wins?
It's still Superman.
Superman. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Superman can lift buildings off of the ground and stuff.
So can the Hulk.
Yeah, but couldn't he just throw the Hulk or fly him into space?
The Hulk could throw Superman.
Yeah, but I don't think he could throw him into space.
Sure, he could.
I don't think so.
Totally could.
Okay,
Hulk,
what's your
well,
take?
the Hulk. I think you're onto something when you say that the Hulk needs to get angry.
Mm-hmm.
So you're onto okay. I know that Tom knows the answer.
Uh-huh. Well, let Tom go last.
Here's what I'm gonna say, is that the Hulk does need to get angry, but it's not that he needs to get angry to become the Hulk, because I'm saying he's already the Hulk at this point. But here's what he needs to get angry for. The Hulk has no limit to his strength.
Okay.
His strength is essentially unlimited, but his strength is based on his level of anger.
Mm-hmm.
The angrier Hulk get, stronger Hulk get. Title.
Exactly.
Title. So, whereas Superman, he has these blocks. He has these mental blocks that he puts on to prevent him from using his full strength, because otherwise he'd walk up, shake your hand, you crush your hand, rip your arm off. Not good for living on Earth. So he has to go and put these mental inhibitors in place so that he doesn't just destroy everything as he walks through his apartment. But he can lift those instantly. He doesn't need to do anything to other than say, okay, I'm ready to do this thing. Now he's released those inhibitors.
It's like when you're holding something very fragile, you're being gentle. Like if you're holding a paper.
But he's got like
sculpture.
A mental block in there that makes it so that he can't accidentally crush the sculpture. But he can say, okay, now I'm ready to do it. And then he's got his full strength. He'd do whatever he needs to do. Whereas the Hulk needs to get angry to get strong, like so I feel like Superman could hit the Hulk, the just changed Hulk. He could hit, or even medium strength Hulk. He could hit the Hulk with such strength and such force that he would essentially knock the Hulk unconscious, knock him out, and then could do something where he's incapacitating him. He could take him somewhere to wind him down and turn him back into Banner. But I think that, and also keep in mind that Superman is very, very, very fast.
Right.
And also, don't forget that Superman has at least the intellect of an I would say fairly intelligent adult human, and the Hulk ain't so smart.
Right.
So he could use that to his advantage too. Tom, what is the final answer?
I think Superman would win. Mostly it's just tactical. Superman's got heat vision. It's a ranged weapon, and he's got super speed. In a straight, like if they arm wrestled,
right,
Hulk might be able to win if he got angry enough, fast enough.
Yeah,
he could be strong enough to beat Superman in just that very particular feat of strength. But Hulk wouldn't see Superman coming.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to get close enough for the Hulk to swing at him. He blasts him with some heat vision, come around from behind, toss him into space, and done.
If you were all of a sudden you had to write Superman, you've been hired to write Superman, what would you do to make him a more interesting character? Because as a kid, Superman was my absolute favorite. Like, who didn't love Superman? I loved Superman. He was the best. Loved Superman. As I started to get older, I started to not be as interested in Superman because, like, he had ultimate power. He was pushing the earth around. What's that, Hattie?
Will he's done with his gig. He can talk.
All right, we'll get him after. Now I don't need him because we had such bright answers from the Browns fan. I mean, I don't know. I think that there's there's a challenge to write Superman and keep him interesting. And I don't want to go through the whole depowered thing now. Superman has no powers, or his powers are just super weak. How can we make him more interesting as a superhero? Tom, I'm gonna seat this on you. You have this responsibility. What would you do?
Thought about this a lot because I would love to write Superman. You have to make it so he cares about what he's fighting or care for who he is fighting. If you write the book so it's just a collection of like Hercules quests,
right,
that's going to get boring because Superman has that sort of power level.
Right.
But if he is saving someone he cares for, it doesn't matter how easy or difficult that task is. You're invested in his mission. And it's also why I very much like Lex Luthor. being the businessman, because that is not a threat that's just pure super strength can take care of. You set up situations where his powers aren't the benefit that you would think. Luthor can launch all sorts of things at Superman that he's going to be able to take care of, but Luthor is protected by law and lawyers, and
Right.
Superman can't get to. And I think that's inherently really interesting in Superman, because kind of the way we were talking about athletes, to bring it back, Hattie, is that this is a guy who can do anything. So when you set him up in a situation where he's frustrated and can't, I think there's a lot of interest that you can play with that there.
That's a really good answer coming from a comic book legend. Well, you've been writing comics for a long time. You've been in this business for a long time, and you've been an indie comic person. So let me before I let you go, let me tell people about your stuff. I think you've got this new project coming out, but for now, people can go to loveandcapes.com, loveandcapes.com, and you sent me a bunch of these.
Oh, I did, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever I know I privately thanked you for that, but I don't know if I've ever publicly thanked you for that. So thank you for sending me most of the Love and Capes books. Some of them I believe you signed.
Oh, I think so. I've been writing my name for years. That person.
But go check out the great body of work over there. It's a great read and wonderful art. Loveandcapes.com. Tom Zahler, now on Twitter. Tom, TH, just to mess with us, just to bully us a little bit more. He puts that H in there.
Yep.
THOMZAHLER. Wonderful to have you on the show as always, Tom. Thank you. And as always, really enjoyed you being here. Thanks very much.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dan.
Take care.
See ya.
Now, what kind of gig lasts 15 minutes or
45 minutes.
What kind of gig is it? Like he's gigging like playing music or something?
I don't know. I
forgot to ask Tom if he knew what ombudsman meant.
Oh.
But I will ask Will. Is Will available right now?
He said just got done. Still? ?
Yeah, tell him yes. I mean, if that's,
I told him yes.
All right. I'll get him back in a second. Are you chatting with him or what?
Just email.
Let me tell you about Lynda. Lynda.com/DBH. Dan Benjamin, our DBH. Lynda.com is an online learning platform with over 3,000 on-demand video courses. Here's what I don't think they understand what they've done here by giving people this special 10-day free trial. Because, well, I think maybe they do. But you can go in, you can really learn a lot in 10 days. We've been experimenting with different video platforms, and I haven't wanted to go through the trouble of downloading and installing and trying to get trials or maybe even having to buy. I want to compare Final Cut Pro to Premiere to Avid. I want to compare these three things, but I don't want to have to download them or maybe have to buy them or install them to see which one I like.
Right. You want to see what it's like to use them.
I want to see what it's like to use them, but if you just download Premiere and look at it on your screen, you're like, what the heck is this? Where do I even start with this? And that's the way it is with a lot of software applications. Well, guess what? There's a better way. Lynda is one of those better ways. You can go into Lynda and you can say, you know what? I want to watch the 5-minute Adobe Premiere intro thing that just shows you around this is the canvas, this is the thing. You just watch that and you're like, okay, yeah, I could get into this. I could learn this. And you compare it to Final Cut Pro. You compare it without having to download and install anything. That's just one example. Let's say that you're, Andy Anatko the other morning gave me an example. He's like, I was using Photoshop and there was this one thing I wanted to do and it changed in the new version of Photoshop. I couldn't remember how to do it. Couldn't figure out how to do it. I went into Lynda, searched for that one thing, found a 5-minute video that highlighted that one thing, watched it. I was like, aha, there it is. Now I've got it. And there's so many great things you can learn with Lynda. Excel. But they even have things like getting things done. They've got one, income tax fundamentals, typography, foundations of color. You know that IFTTTTTTTTT thing? IFTTTT? They've got up and running with IFTTTTTT class. So you can go check this out. Lynda.com, 10-day free trial, and support the show. Lynda.com/DBH. Thanks very much to them for making this show possible. Ombudsman. All right, is Will ready now? He's ready to go. He's good to go.
I think so. He just sent me that. So.
All right. Well, we'll give him a second shot. I'm all about second chances here on this show. The show is about It's a show of second chances, I guess you would say.
You gave Tom a second chance to not be so angry.
I know.
Yeah.
And I don't have a good feeling about this. Will?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh
Yeah!
my gosh, we got Will Carroll, injury expert. You were here, sir.
I am here. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks for taking time at your. What kind of gig lasts only you can go to and come back in 45 minutes?
No, I just had 2 more media hits. The new job is creating quite the media firestorm.
Okay, so Will has a new job. He came from. Can we say this? Is this all right to talk about?
Yes, yeah. It was publicly announced yesterday.
Okay, so what is it? What is your new gig?
I am now writing at FanDuel.
FanDuel, cool site.
Yeah, it's a great site. I've been a big fan of it. I'm a fan of what they do, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. I don't want to sound like a company shill, but
it's the best company I've ever worked for in my whole life.
Well, I can't say that. It's only been 2 days, but it's been a heck of a 2 days.
Nice.
So, no, if you're not familiar with FanDuels, let me help you get out from under that rock. But it's a fantasy game. It's a game of skill. It's a game where you got to be really good. But it takes all the things you hate about fantasy, like that annoying draft that takes 2 hours because one guy didn't prepare.
Oh, the worst.
And you don't have to collect your fees from your buddy who's like, oh, I don't have any cash.
Right.
It's one day. You pick a new team every day. You ever had a team and somebody gets injured? And then you're like, oh, crap, I'm screwed for the rest of the year.
Right.
Or Adrian Peterson smacks his kid and he's suspended for the year. And that was your first pick. That's fine. Go to FanDuel. You can pick an entirely new team every day and win real money. We're going to be giving away, get this, Dan, $2.5 million. You can win $2.5 million if you win every single game we have each and every day of the baseball season.
Nice. All right. Well, congratulations on the new gig. I'm a big fan of FanDuel, so keep it going. I'm glad for you because, I mean, this is better than, living on the streets anyway.
Exactly. I mean, it was this or McDonald's, so I'm pretty happy with this.
So speaking of quitting and starting something new, Chris Borland, I talked to Tom Zahler, as I'm supposed to say, about this a little bit. He's not a big sports guy, but he had some really interesting thoughts about this. And one of them was he says that, perhaps the players feel like they can they can take greater risks or hit harder because they are so well protected. But in fact, they're still putting themselves at risk. A guy like you, one of your focuses is on injuries and things like that happening in really all sports, not just football. But I mean, Chris Borland he's not saying he has any problems. This is a great player. He's a guy at the peak of his career, playing for a great team. It's not like he's playing for the Lions or something. You know what I mean? He's playing for a great team.
Yeah.
So what's your take on this?
And he walks away.
Yeah, he completely walked away.
This is really intriguing because he's a different breed of cat. He's only been in the league 1 year. It's not like he's cashed his big check, says I have my millions, and I'm walking away. This is really, really unique to him. I don't think we can say that this is a trend, that other players are going to do it, that this is going to influence people. He's been around 1 year and he's really good, but outside of San Francisco, I don't think there are a lot of kids that want to grow up to be Chris Borland.
Right, so in other words, you're saying he's not doing this to set some kind of precedent or example. He's just sort of jumping out of it.
No, this is purely a personal decision, one that he contemplated for a while now. I talked to people right after it happened when we thought he was having actual physical issues and decided to walk away. No, he's doing it to prevent those kind of physical issues from happening. This is a really well-considered, thoughtful decision, but I don't want to make too much of it. This is like somebody who has a great job and saying, you know what, it's time for me to change. The difference is that it's led to this discussion, that people like you, that people like Tom are saying, you know what, this is something I'm curious about. This is something I'm interested in. Is this a trend? So it's bringing up another uncomfortable point for the NFL and for football in general. I don't think it's going to trickle down too much. I don't think moms are going to say, well, do you see what Chris Borland did? But they might. This is going to be on the news. This is going to be discussed. And at some point, we're already seeing participation numbers at the youth level go down. So I don't think we're going to see football ghettoized the way that sports like boxing have been,
right? Where
it's really the poor, the disadvantaged that are trying to very literally fight their way out.
Yeah,
we've seen that with basketball, where it was originally a very Jewish sport in the 40s and 50s. It moved to become an African American sport, and then it turns out the new ghettos was Europe and China. And so we see that sort of thing. I don't think we're going to see that, but the strength and regionalism of football is going to be one of the things that protects it. But if we keep seeing the participation numbers going down, if we don't see some kind of technological innovation to either help with concussions or reduce the symptoms when they do occur, then there is going to be some sort of tipping point where we're going to see less and less of the best players going there. You have to remember, football and sports in general is a self-selecting thing. If you happen to be 6'5", 300 pounds, and you can run real fast,
that was enough.
Society in general wants you to be a football player, and they will pay you a ton of money to do so.
Right.
There's not really a whole lot of other things you can do to make that kind of money.
Yeah.
So we're still going to have that, but we are going to see those multi-sport players, especially the young ones that are showing talent in baseball, basketball, football. Are they going to be a little less likely to play football? I think a really interesting test case is going to be the upcoming number 1 pick in the NFL draft, Jameis Winston. Now, he's better known for what he's done off the field than on the field, but there is no question in my mind that he's going to be the number 1 pick. That should tell you how talented he is, that despite all the off-the-field issues, he's going to be the no doubt number 1 pick in the NFL. They're going to hand him $20 million and hope that he can get his head on straight. Those two things don't normally go together. On the other hand, he's also a very, very good baseball player. And if he said, you know what, I'm just going to play baseball, I've talked to 3 different scouting directors that say he would be a first-round pick, likely in the top half of the first round. And this is for a guy who's basically playing baseball as a hobby for the last few years. If he were to say, you know what, I don't think I want to play in the NFL. I've seen too many quarterbacks get hurt. I'm going to stick to baseball.
Right.
That would be a real shift.
Well, you bring up baseball in this context. I've got a 7-year-old son. And if he were to say to me, I want to go play a sport, what sport should I play? My favorite sport is football, specifically the NFL.
You live in Texas, so you have to.
Well, and
it's a law.
And I grew up in Philadelphia, so there's that too. But I remember that growing up, we had the Eagles, we had the Phillies, we had we had the Sixers, we had a lot of great teams, or at least a lot of teams that we could follow and enjoy. And but like as a parent, I want my kids to live like the longest life that they can. If my daughter came out and said, "Dad, what sport should I play?" I wouldn't try to gear either of them toward the sport that's going to put them in direct physical contact with a lot of other people who might want to hurt them. I would kind of gear them to, well, look, what's wrong with baseball? Let's start there and see how that works out. And it's not, I don't feel like they're taking, they're not chickens because they want to do that. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, as a viewer, I want as many talented people in the NFL as possible. So I'm kind of conflicted on this, because I want to watch a really great physical, NFC East style game. But I don't like that might come at the expense of people who could potentially be really hurt from that,
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we have to deal with that. There are injuries that we have to deal with. There are going to be broken bones. There are going to be torn ligaments, and there are going to be concussions. We're going to see that in every sport. The sport that actually has the most concussions as a percentage of participants is girls' high school basketball.
No kidding.
Yeah, well,
How
it took me forever to figure this out.
How does that happen?
The two factors that come into it are the height disparity, because there are a lot of really tall girls, and there are also a place for shorter girls. There's about 1.5 feet between the best centers and the best point guards.
Okay.
There's also a great talent difference in high school.
Interesting.
But the real problem is elbows. A tall girl throws an elbow, and it's directly into the head of one of the shorter girls. And you get the age difference, the height difference, the talent difference, and also high participation levels. But you don't hear a lot of people going, "Oh, that girl's basketball. We gotta end that. We gotta figure out how to do it or reduce these concussions," which is true. But I don't really want to see them running around in helmets.
Right.
I'm not sure how well that would go.
But I mean, isn't that kind of the direction that we're going in, Will? That every single thing is going to be, every single, even non-contact sports. You'll have people out there playing golf with, helmets on. They're already wearing back braces. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, and you have this whole phenomenon of helicopter parenting. All you have to do is go to a playground or a park. And I'm a parent, like, I don't want my kids to fall off the jungle gym or whatever, but like there are parents who almost don't want their kids to try something or to make a mistake or to do anything. And they're right there every single time to let them fall. And a lot of the time, like, you know what? They're not up on top of a building. Let them fall, because if they fall, they probably won't get hurt very bad this time. But if you don't, do that, then they won't understand what their real limits are. And, so I don't know. It's like, I feel like, again, like, I don't want to be hypocritical about it, because I want like a really good NFL football game on Sunday. But at the same time, I don't want anyone to come away from it with neurological damage, and does that mean should I stop watching it and just watch Phillies games now? Just watch, just watch that, or watch just the Spurs, who, they might bump each other once in a while, but like, I don't want it to be Phillies and Spurs. I want it to be Eagles too,
Yeah. I think that both for the players and the viewers, we want two things. You're exactly right. You want to see the best players. You want to see the best games. You want to see a physical style that you're used to. But I think what we as viewers and what the players need is to understand the risks. I think we really have to understand what's going on with these players. Let them know. And that's what Chris Borland showed, is that, he understood the risk and decided it wasn't worth it. For the viewers, you have to know what's going on.
Right.
And then at that point, you have to say, am I willing to watch this, knowing that there is going to be some kind of damage?
Yeah. Well, listen, before I let you go, I want to ask you one more question. And first, let me say congratulations on your new gig. I'm glad to do it. I'll be looking out there for you. Are you familiar with the term ombudsman?
Yes.
Did you Google it before the show started?
No. Actually, ESPN has famously had an ombudsman for a while, and it's been kind of a controversial position. So I know of, and actually, the first ombudsman at the New York Times was Daniel Okrent, who great writer, but also invented fantasy baseball. So I owe him a little bit for my new job.
I had no idea. Can you define
I still don't know what ombudsman is, and everything that you said did not help me in any way.
It's kind of a public advocate. Mostly it's with newspapers, but it's somebody that just kind of takes a hard look at what somebody is doing, whether that was ESPN or the New York Times, and kind of says, either you did well enough or you didn't, and is sort of the public's voice.
Very, very excellent
definition. A professional judger of people.
Yeah, he's an investigator. He looks into complaints and things like that. Okay, listen, Will, if people want to find you on Twitter, you're at Injury Expert. Injury Expert.
Yep.
On Twitter, and now you're over at FanDuel. Thanks very much for taking time out of your schedule and scheduling around your gig and whatnot. I appreciate it, and we'll have you back on again soon.
Thanks a lot. Anytime, Dan.
Take care. I like having this Skype here better than when you had it. It's not that I didn't
you
trust
like it
your
better?
Skills. I mean,
you like to be able to control it.
To control it when I get the person on, ombudsman. So nothing to do
Now
with
I
the
know what it is.
outdoors.
Right. I mean, I guess in a way,
They might go
they're
outside
they're
sometime.
outside in the world, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when I said they were picking, berries, I feel like maybe berries were a metaphor for people, and they were picking people, and they had to choose the best ones.
5-4 Club. If you hate shopping as much as I do, most men hate shopping. I don't really enjoy it. They're based out of L.A. 2002 they started, and their goal has been to alleviate the stress of shopping for men. You go to their website, which is get54.com. You take 60 seconds and you fill out a profile. The first time they said this, before I found out about these guys, I thought, oh, great. I don't want to go through some form and fill out a profile of what I like and what I don't. Well, that's not how it works. They show you some clothes, and they'll show you like 6 different shirts. And they'll say, which of these do you like? Oh, here's some jeans. Do you like these? Which ones do you like? Do you dress more like this guy here or more like this guy over here? Which one? And you pick it, and now your profile is complete. And now they start sending you these clothes. Every month they send you clothes. They send you a $120 box of clothes, but you only pay $60. And that's because they, like our friends over at Harry's, they cut out the middleman, and they send them right to you. They don't have to have stores. They don't have to have storefronts with employees to come in and bother you. They just send you the great clothes, all the great clothes, every month, and you only pay $60. But if you use this code, Dan20OFF, which should be Dan sent me how to get on that.
I'm working on it.
Dan20OFF, Dan20OFF at get54.com. Dan20OFF, you're going to get 20 off. That's $20. She was yawning again.
Nope.
Get54.com. And you will get your first box for a mere $40. $120 worth of clothing. And it's great clothing. It's very stylish. I recommend you go check it out. Thanks to them for supporting the show. It's about all we got for today. Show went long. We were doing really good. Now we're a half an hour over.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to talk about anything. Did you know that just now, breaking news?
Breaking news.
Did you hear about the breaking news?
Nope.
Well, the breaking news is that over at Penn State. You know about Penn State,
I
right?
do know about Penn State, yes.
A whole fraternity apparently has been suspended over that's the wrong one. There. A whole fraternity has been suspended over alleged nude Facebook photos, but it's not not of them.
I figured it would not be of them.
Yeah, it's and of course right now the teleport has stopped working. So I'll have to open it over here on another page, which is fine. But basically, and the fraternity is Kappa Delta Rho. What does that stand for, Hattie? What's the secret thing
I don't know the secret words.
Well, they're under police investigation. They were suspended Tuesday by the national headquarters for a secret members-only Facebook page that allegedly features pictures of scantily clad females, drug deals, and hazing rituals. This is at Penn State College.
Wow.
They were operating a private page with the illicit images. A female spotted a topless picture of herself on the page, which was called Covert Business Operations. Last year, while she was visiting the house, she threatened members who shut down the page, but then a second page called 2.0 popped up in its place shortly after and included pictures of nude females who appeared to be passed out or in embarrassing positions, and it showed sales of marijuana, ADD medication. I guess people sell ADD medication?
That is very popular among the college kids. I believe it's Adderall is what they take to study, and they stay up late. But they also can mix it with alcohol and things like that and then go party on it.
Well, that's stupid. And then cocaine, according to this warrant. The page has 144 active members, provided authorities with a small fraction of its contents, according to the warrant. The State College Police Department captain, John Gardner, said that the criminal investigation is ongoing. No arrests have been made. But they say that the pictures were disturbing. and that's all that we know. But we'll follow up on this story because this is the kind of thing that it's just I think all of this as a parent now, like I don't even know what college is going. When I was in college, there were parties, but they seemed so tame by today's standards.
It was more of a get together.
Like sometimes like a guy'd get really drunk and like jump in the pool. Oh my God.
He was crazy.
You know, Frank jumped in the pool again. Can you believe
Frank jumped in the pool on Saturday. Isn't he crazy? He was so drunk.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. He did that. And you know, and whereas now it's like it seems like
that's what you expect at a party.
Yeah. I mean it really seems like there are it's a different world out there. So anyway, breaking news. You heard it here first. So that's what's going on today in Penn State. But anyway, we will be back tomorrow at our regular time. We were not too bad today, Hattie.
No.
It wasn't too bad.
No.
But we'll be better about it tomorrow. Today, things got a little out of hand at the barbecue place at Friedman.
We even had a dessert.
Yeah. Well, you
got
ate
too crazy.
You ate most
I ate
of that dessert.
99% of it.
But anyway, yeah. So we'll try and be better about that. But really, we have been slammed getting this room ready. We're starting up the tour. We have the seats there for people who come in and want to be a part of the live show.
The camera.
No, camera's fine there.
They'll just have to crawl underneath it.
They can sit right behind it. It's fine. We got plenty of room. But that's it. I don't know who our guests will be tomorrow. Well, let's see who Greg and Hattie come up with to make it an interesting show.
It will be an ombudsman.
And we will be back tomorrow. You can tune into the show live as we record it, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific, and you can tune in and watch us inside behind. Oh, we'll have our new camera tomorrow.
Yay!
Our new camera will be
I think you'll like it.
Right up there. So tune in to see that, and of course you can listen to the show. We are posting them at danbenjamin.com and also 5by5.tv/dbh. Either place you subscribe will get you the same deal. Thanks very much for listening, and we will be back tomorrow. So you know the weird thing is this mouse. See it frozen up there?
Yes. Oh wait, now it's moving.
Yeah, I finally got the thing to reconnect. So then I can what? It's strange. Just weird what's going on.
Are you trapped in that screen?
It's trapped on that screen. Oh, there it goes.
Oh, did you find an opening?
I won't comment on that. But now the dock is gone.
Oh.
Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in on the video thing. We'll be back tomorrow. Bye.